What do we mean when we say that we love somebody or that we're in love with someone? What does it mean to be in a loving relationship with a person? I don't know if anybody really knows the answer to that question in a fully detailed sense. Love is a very complex thing. But I think that I have an idea of what I think it means, and I want to see if you guys resonate with it, if it makes sense to you. To me, my belief is that love, or to love somebody, means that you want the happiness of that person. To love somebody means that you want that person's joy, safety, contentment, success, happiness, in the same way that you want that happiness and that joy and that contentment for yourself. And so essentially you have taken that person and you have made them an equal with you in their worthiness for abundance, and then their worthiness for happiness and success in life, whatever that means to you. Now, this dynamic becomes very difficult when we get into relationships with people. Because being in a romantic relationship with a person is inherently a very dynamic exchange of energy between the two people. And it becomes very cloudy and difficult at times to understand when it's time to prioritize yourself and when to prioritize that other person. And this is especially true if the two people that are involved in the relationship are not exceptionally emotionally developed or emotionally grounded and centered in themselves. We talk a lot about soulmates in our society, which is funny for a society that is so, in today's age, it's so based off of like science and has overall been drifting away from the spiritual aspect of things. But in today's world, we talk a lot about soulmates, finding your soulmate. And we hold a great deal of importance in finding that person that we believe is the person for us. That person is the one and only, and that is the one that I want to spend my life with. That is the person that my heart is connected to. And we hold a great deal of importance in finding that person. Some people even go so far as to make it pretty much their entire point of existing. If I can't find this other person, then my life is essentially meaningless and pointless. And the irony in that is that by putting yourself in a place where you are actively seeking to get into a relationship with somebody, when you are actively seeking a relationship with a romantic partner, what you're actually doing is cutting yourself off from receiving exactly what you were seeking. Why is that? The reason is, when you are actively seeking a relationship, when you're seeking the love and comfort of another person, and I want to preface this by saying that that's not wrong. I'm not saying that any of this is wrong in a moral sense. But when you are actively seeking the love and comfort of another person, what's really happening is you are looking for somebody else to validate you. You're looking for someone else to give you worth. And a lot of the time when somebody is relentlessly searching for a romantic relationship or a partner, that comes from a place of loneliness. And the problem with that is, even when you find somebody who is willing to reciprocate that for you, now you find yourself in a relationship where neither of you are able to connect at a very deep level. It may feel very deep to you, depending on what you've experienced in your life, where you are in your life, how you feel about other people, how aware you are of yourself and your emotions and the way that you connect to people. It may feel very deep to you, but if you are conjoining with another person out of a place of loneliness, that relationship will never be very deep, because there is a great pressure on the subconscious mind for you in that relationship, which is that now for your happiness, you depend on this person. Now this person you are codependent on them for your own happiness, for your security. Because if you lose this person, then you will go back to the place of loneliness that you were in before you found them, before you guys got together. And this puts a great deal of pressure on you to change yourself and adjust your actions, decisions, thoughts, and ideas, beliefs, and opinions around what that person believes in order to keep them in your life. Sometimes this can be one-sided, sometimes it can be two-sided. Both of you are doing the same thing, and that's a hell of a confusing relationship. I've been there before. What is very, very important for you to be able to find a person that you are truly compatible with and that you can connect with at an insanely deep human level is to learn how to be comfortable in that place of loneliness. If you can learn how to be lonely and not upset about the fact that you were lonely, if you can learn how to be lonely and provide your own validation for yourself and your own happiness and your own comfort without having to seek it in somebody else, then the necessity for another person to be present in your life in order to supply that for you fades from your life. And that sounds counterproductive, because then it sounds like, well, then I don't need this person to be in my life. And that's true. But that's better. And the reason that that's better is because if you don't need this person to be in your life, then that subconscious pressure, which is that you need to do something in order to make sure that this person doesn't leave you, because if they do leave you, then you're going to be lonely again, and you're going to be sad, and you're going to be broken. That pressure fades away, and with that pressure fading away, you will feel no compellence to, you'll feel no, is that even a word? With the fading away of that pressure, you will not feel compelled to change your behaviors or change yourself as a person in any sort of counterproductive or inauthentic way in order to please that person so that they don't leave you. And what you gain from this is a relationship where the two people are being very, very authentic with each other. And you see, the more that you hide from a partner in order to please them, actually the greater the distance grows between you and your relationship. And it's also important to ask yourself the question of, when a person leaves you, if you've ever experienced heartbreak or any kind of breakup with a romantic partner and that really crushed you, made you angry, probably jealous, maybe if they cheated or something like that. What you need to understand is that that relationship was never meant for you. And it wasn't coming from a good place. It may have taught you some very valuable lessons. If you're holding on to that, this is your sign to let that go. If you're holding on to a past relationship because of how great you felt like it was, and now you guys aren't together and you aren't talking, and whatever, she or he or whoever is with somebody else, has a kid now, whatever, as you're getting older, things are changing. If you're watching this, it's time for you to let that go. Because that relationship was never meant to serve you. It was meant to teach you lessons. It was meant to help you understand yourself in the romantic world. And the reason I say that is because if you are upset or angry or hurt when you lose somebody in a relationship, it's because, what did I say earlier about love? Love is the feeling that you want another person to be as happy and content as you want yourself to be, and in an unconditional sense, right? Because if it was conditional, then it wouldn't really be true. It would be transactional. And I've also experienced transactional relationships, and those aren't too great either compared to what is out there. Some of these things can be really great. Like, some of these relationships that I'm talking about can feel very amazing. Some of them can feel very deep and powerful, but they will never compare to the kind of relationship that I'm trying to steer you towards gaining in your life. They will never compare. So, the feeling of hurt and anger comes from the fact that the relationship to you was inherently transactional. And so what you thought, what you were confused about, was that you believed you were experiencing love. You believed that you were having the experience of love, which is to want the contentment and the happiness of another person as much as you want it for yourself unconditionally. But if that was true, when your connection to that person broke away, even if it was for the happiness of that person, this would not, you see, you don't need to attach to that, because you want the happiness of that other person, don't you? So why does it matter to you whether it's with you or whoever else? Wouldn't it be more loving of you than to accept the fact that this person no longer wants to be with you, and to wish them well, and to allow them to seek the happiness that they could find? Because why are you holding on? This sounds so, and I know like this, how this is going to sound to people when they're listening to this, because this is going to sound like you're letting yourself get walked on. This is going to sound like you're letting yourself be weak. This is going to sound like blah, 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 blah. This is hurting me. That's your ego. That voice in the back of your head that you're listening to while I'm speaking, because I hear it too as I'm saying these words, that's your ego telling you that you need external validation in order to be valuable. You need external validation in order for you to have any kind of purpose or meaning in this world. And that voice telling you in the back of your head that this is weakness, that this is being walked on, this is letting yourself be used, is your ego trying to hold you down, trying to make you attached to things. But the truth is that true love, have you ever heard the expression, if you love them, let them go? Why do you think that expression exists? It exists because when you truly want the happiness of another person, it does not matter where the happiness of that person is sourced. Now, does that mean that you should be in a romantic relationship with somebody who is actively seeking validation from other people? Not necessarily. Some people do partake in that, though, and it's called polyamory. A lot of you have probably heard of that before. And, so that's a personal preference thing. You don't have to do that. You can be monogamous and still allow the happiness of another person to flourish without you being involved in their life. Just accepting the fact that they don't want to only be with you. That doesn't invalidate you. You see, maybe you made mistakes, or maybe you're just not compatible. Maybe they made mistakes and they couldn't figure their own things out. Whatever reason for the relationship ending, it doesn't necessarily have to mean that you were invalid. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything wrong with you. And that is a big feeling that we get when we lose somebody that we thought we loved, and that turns us towards hate and jealousy and anger towards that person, because we feel inadequate, because we feel unworthy, because that person is not reciprocating love to us in the way that we expected them to. But you need to understand that the problem with that realm of thought is when you look at your relationship from that perspective, that now I am invalidating myself because I'm hateful and angry and jealous because this person is not reciprocating love the way that I expected them to. You didn't really ever want the happiness of that person, you see. You thought that you did, but rather you wanted the validation that you received from them. You wanted the feeling of fulfillment and importance that you received from being in the relationship with that person. And that's why when the relationship ended, you attached yourself to anger and hatred and jealousy. Like I did. I was in a relationship for a long time that I attached myself to those feelings to for years after the relationship ended. And it was because I didn't ever really love that person, because I didn't know how to yet. I did not understand what love was yet. Wanting the happiness and the contentment of another person unconditionally. Instead, I was more concerned about the fact that being in the relationship with that person made me feel more socially acceptable because they were popular, made me feel attractive because they were attractive, made me feel loved because I wasn't alone, made me feel worthy. And when that person left my life, all of those things collapsed and I went into a depressive episode for 2 years and I didn't do pretty much anything at all except for sit around. And that is the danger that you run into if you are seeking relationships from a place of loneliness. I'm here to tell you right now that honestly, you are better off not seeking a relationship at all. You are better off learning how to be comfortable being alone. It is better for you as a person to develop a sense of what it means to love people and to allow relationships to come to you. If there is going to be a relationship, allow it to come to you. Do not seek it. Because the more that you seek it, the more that you create this loop that you are pushing away the loneliness. You are ignoring the loneliness. And when you finally get into that relationship that you're seeking so desperately, you're going to find that it doesn't meet the expectations that you had set before, and it is going to disappoint you. So what does it look like to be in a truly loving relationship? It means that you and another person have come together and both of you are completely involved in the other person's interests, but neither of you are so attached to each other that if the other person left, that one of you would be broken and collapsed and wouldn't be able to do anything. You are not crippled without this person. You are not dependent on this person. This looks different for everybody. I can't give you an exact idea of what it would look like. But generally the theme is that you are not dependent on this person for your happiness. And your relationship looks like peace. Because, well, a really cool car just drove by my house. Sorry, that was kind of cool. It was like one of those like three-wheeler things. That was kind of cool. It was like old-timey though. It kind of looked like one of the old like Matchbox cars. Anyway. You are not attached to this person as your sole source of happiness. And your validation as a person, your understanding of your self-worth does not come from them. Nor do you have to hide anything from them. Nor do you have to change anything about yourself for them. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you don't need to grow together. But what I mean is that if you are like into BMX, that you don't get into this relationship and pretend to not be into BMX, but actually be into horseback riding because that's what they're into. Right? If you're still working on being financially stable, or you're still working on like how to be sociable or whatever, you know, there's a million different things that you can work on that are growth, and it's different. But what I mean is changing your inalienable version of yourself in order to please that person. If you were doing that, you need to seriously evaluate the situation that you're in. You need to seriously evaluate the values of your relationship. So I'm going to leave it there because this is a long video. I'm going to go on a rant. I have a lot to say about this. So thank you guys very much for watching. Much love to everybody. If you look in the description of this video, there will be a link to a Discord server where you can talk to other like-minded people, including myself. I'm in there a lot. Hopefully more in the future because I've been kind of like busy recently, but I would really like to start connecting with more people. So thank you guys very much for watching. Much love to everyone, and I will see you in the next video.